Hello guys! Earth is the only terrestrial planet that has a large satellite. It was thought that Mercury was a Venus satellite before leaving its orbit, so maybe there was a time when Venus was proud to have its own satellite. Welcome to our Wikivedia Plus channel. You will find many interesting things here on our channel. The effect that the moon has on Earth is immeasurable. The moon shielded and protected itself from most of the meteorites that fell on Earth. In the first days of Earth's existence, the moon was much closer to Earth than it is now, and the forces of the moon's tides warmed up the Earth. In short, thanks to the moon, the Earth has been much healthier and more pleasant. But how exactly did the moon appear? Today we will find out together. The Moon and the Earth, similarities and differences. Before discussing the various theories about the origin of the Moon, I would like to explain briefly about the similarities and differences between the Moon and the Earth. Later we will compare several modern hypotheses and this information will be useful. Now the biggest difference between the Moon and the Earth is that the Moon has a density. This is related to the fact that a significant part of the mass of the Earth, which is composed of iron and nickel, is a large nucleus. On the other hand, the lunar nucleus is very small, less than 2 to 3% of its mass. Contrary to the Earth, the composition of the Moon does not contain almost any volatile gas, such as oxygen, nitrogen, and fluor. Instead, it is rich in heavy metals, such as uranium, thorium, bismuth, lead, and titanium. The outer crust of the Moon is very thick, several times thicker than the Earth's crust. This can be explained as follows. Modern science assumes that the Moon was already a completely melted celestial body with an endless sea of waves, but since then the mantle has completely cooled. The Earth has never been completely melted. In all other aspects, the lunar material and the mantle of the Earth are in harmony with both the components. The scholars also focused on the proportion of oxygen isotopes. In fact, in the case of bodies formed in the same orbit, the proportions of the main oxygen isotopes in the outer crust combine, while the proportions of the oxygen isotopes of the Earth and the Moon are identical. Big Tree. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the three most common hypotheses were the ones integrated in Big Tree: the theory of fission, the theory of capture, and the theory of the accumulation of twins. The theory of fission was proposed in 1878 by George Darwin. Darwin observed that the speed of the rotation of the Earth decreased over time. For example, at the beginning of the Mesozoic, one day and one night lasted 21 hours. Darwin predicted that during the initial stages of the formation of the Earth would rotate so fast that part of its material was removed and flew away. The geologist Oswald Fisher supported this theory, speculating that the Pacific Ocean was formed where the Moon detached itself when it broke. This hypothesis was the most popular assumption in science until the beginning of space flights. The first studies of the lunar soil showed that the lunar material was in fact similar to our mantle, which seemed to support the theory of fission. However, after that, problems began to arise with the theory of fission. The first problem is that the Earth has never melted completely. The second problem is that for something to detach from the Earth, it would have to rotate at a speed of 1 or 2 rotations per hour, which is almost impossible. This is because even in Precambrian times, one day had about 12 to 16 hours of duration. Finally, it was the theory of the movement of tectonic plates that gave a definitive blow to this theory. Fisher, like other scholars of his time, based his theory on a fixed theory outdated. But we live in the present days and we know that the plates move and that the positioning of continents and oceans was not always the same as it is today. The bottom of the Pacific Ocean was formed about 70 million years ago and has nothing to do with the existence of the Moon. An alternative theory that was presented by Darwin's son for a long time was the theory of the capture of the Moon by the Earth. According to this hypothesis, the Moon was somewhere else in the solar system or was formed outside the solar system, but was later captured by the gravity of the Earth. Some myths about the Earth describe a time when there was no moon in the sky, so it may have been in Precambrian times that the Earth captured the Moon. Unfortunately, this theory is also not worthy of being criticized in the area of modern knowledge. The first reason for this is that now we know that a captured satellite will normally rotate in the opposite direction, far from its orbit. And the second reason is that all the satellites captured known by science are asteroids orbiting giant planets. Compared to the mass of captured planets, the mass of asteroids is insignificant. On the other hand, the Moon is large enough. If the Moon had flown near the Earth, it would probably have collided with it. And finally, the proportions of oxygen isotopes of the Earth and the Moon are identical. Therefore, the last hope of this hypothesis disappears completely. Finally, let's address hypothesis number 3 from Big Tree. This is the closest to the truth and, ironically, the oldest of the 3 hypotheses. Professor Immanuel Kant was the first to defend this theory in 1755. Kant supported the theory currently established that the Earth and the Moon are the same. It is possible to conclude that the Earth and other planets formed from a protoplanetary disk. Based on this hypothesis, Kant concluded that when the Earth formed, the light particles were simply launched out of orbit. And from there, the Moon was formed. Certainly, Kant did not know the proportions of oxygen isotopes and the similarity between the lunar materials and the Earth mantle. But his point of view explains the proportions of oxygen isotopes very well. The reason is that no one takes into account the proportion of oxygen isotopes in the Moon. However, this point of view does not fully explain why the Moon contains more heavy metals and the Earth more gases. If we consider this based on the theory of the accumulation of twins, the components included must be reversed. In addition, among the terrestrial planets, there should be other planets with satellites similar to the Moon, but in fact there is none. Therefore, this fact also proves that the theory of the accumulation of twins is wrong. Thus, Kant trusted a theory that was closer to the modern theory, but even so, it was wrong too. Hypothesis of the Great Impact. According to the current opinion on the formation of the Moon, it is thought that it is the result of a great cataclysm that occurred right after the birth of the Earth. The 2 main hypotheses are that it collided with the planet Theia and that it was hit by a giant meteorite. The hypothesis of a collision between the Earth and Theia supposes that another planet, approximately the same size as Mars, has passed in the vicinity of the Earth. The Theia must have formed in another place in the orbit of the Earth. As the Earth and Theia grew, they were mutually attracted to each other. Theia hit the Earth and was launched out of the solar system. Meanwhile, the Earth lost part of its mantle, which transformed into the Moon. This theory can explain all the properties of the Earth. The Earth is one of the greatest planets in the world. But according to the calculations, if a great cataclysm had occurred, the water would have completely evaporated and the Earth would have become a planet similar to Mercury or Venus. For this reason, an alternative perspective was proposed. This perspective is that the planet Theia did not exist and that the remnants of a planetesimal, that is, a great asteroid, hit the Earth with great force. The impact was from the Earth itself, and from the planet itself, the Earth was attracted to the Earth. What does this mean? The impact of some of these collisions is not enough to destroy Earth, but it is enough to make a hole in the newly formed Earth crust and throw material from the mantle into orbit to create a satellite. There are certainly other unusual theories about the formation of the Moon. For example, there is a theory that once upon a time the Earth had a ring made of small asteroids and that these asteroids later glued together to form a single object. However, no serious scholar has ever supported this theory, so it doesn't even make sense for us to address it here. If one day the truth is revealed, it will be close to one of the hypotheses we discussed today, but it will still take time for the truth to be revealed. Meanwhile, let's keep learning a lot about things in this world together. Well folks, and with that, we end our video today. Thank you all for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed our content. If you liked this video, we would be happy if you could like it and share the video on your social networks and subscribe to the channel. We have always appreciated your support. Now let's get ready for the next video here on our Wikivedia Plus channel. We'll be back soon. A big hug and until then, bye!